Divine greetings, entities, energies, lovelies, bodies of light, these seekers and sojourners of truth, the 144, chosen of the chosen few. You know who you are. I greet you in the love that lights the truth from my heart to yours. I am celestial earth in the divine energy essence of it all, reporting to you live from none other than 5D. You know it. Stand up, my 5D people who are all up in the fifth dimension, those who have been here, those who are making it here, those who see us off in the distance and you're on your way, however you want to look at it. Welcome, welcome. And as usual, I bring you the news to infuse if you so choose to. Infuse with that light on the light grid. This is light grid activation, right? And you can either choose to infuse, as I always say, or get fried on the grid. Right? So, happy. This is a 6/6 portal. I'm excited to talk about that. You probably are going to see this in the wee hours or the next day, so it may be out of that day, but on 2/7/27, it's a 6/6 portal for those of you who know the calendar, the new true calendar. Those of you who already have yours, if you look on the calendar for the 27th, it says what? 6, and it is the 6th month, right? It's the 6th month. Yes, it is the month of Virgo, aka the month of Offset, and we are in the 6th day of that 6th month. So it is, according to the new true timeline, a 6/6 portal. So for those who are on the new true emerging collective consciousness, we are celebrating our energetic hotspot, because remember, the portals are according to the collective consciousness, and this new collective consciousness, new true collective consciousness, is emerging. And so there is another timeline shift. I'm not saying it is the only way. We have other calendars out there, but this is one of the way, whether you're aware of it or not. If you're out of the old timeline, then more likely your energy is infusing with the new true timeline. So you get an energetic hotspot, right? So it, not only do we get to celebrate the Gregorian calendar's energetic hotspots and portals, but we also get to tap into our own in the new true timeline. And it's not even just about celebrating. To be honest, when we catch the hot spots on the Gregorian calendar, we operate as bridges, helping to bridge those over. It's an opportunity for us to be able to reach in and help pull someone into this timeline. And I don't mean by force, obviously, but I mean because it's an energetic portal and a hot spot, then it is also a opportunity for them to be more open and receptive, and you, already knowing about these portals, able to be a connection to them and helping to bridge them over into the new true timeline if they so incline, because it's all about your choice to incline with the light, right? So with that said, I want to definitely talk about, this is an important topic, about monitoring and surveillance spirits and the demonic energies that we are around, and we have to be very mindful of, especially those of us who have been doing our halls of Amenti and our soul work. Please best believe, as I have spoken to some of my star seeds, the star seeds in our group, in our collective community that is growing, that once you do the work, it's like all this stuff is being thrown at you. So please expect that. Don't expect to do something spiritual and do your shadow work and it just, rainbows and unicorn farts, right? It is going to be, you're in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? And I've said that. I was like, coming out of the halls of Amenti, it's like we're going into the halls of Gethsemane, where we're being tested, where the devil in that story was tempting Yeshua, like, turn the stone into bread and things like that. So there are many temptations that we're facing. It's like right when you go through that, all these things come up, but they are challenges. As I was explaining to someone earlier today, one of our star seeds, that it's a challenge, and the challenge is to help sharpen you, right? The challenge is to help some things come up. The things that are coming up are residual stuff that needs to come up. And yes, you may have felt that, man, I thought I got rid of this already, but now it's still here, right? Before I get any further, let me stick a pin right there, because I know some of you don't watch this all the way through. And for those of you who've made it thus far, let me do a little interjection, house cleaning, while this jumped up in my mind, because this is really important as it pertains to the calendars. We are getting all the calendar orders and affairs, all the affairs, calendar affairs in order and ready to send out. And we have a few, as we've gone through the list, we have a few that I have no address to. So I'm calling some of you out, because this is the only way I feel like I can get to you. So excuse me if I call your name and you don't want your name to be heard, but I may not know how to find you in the comments, and I don't have an email address for you. So for those who have sent in, and you've already sent in your money, and I would like to get you your calendars. So please send in 2 things I need you to send in. Send in your address, email me your address, and my email is in the description below, or if you don't see it here, go to a previous video where the description is, and send me the name that you would have personalized on your calendar, as you would like to be called, as you would like to see it, so I can personalize that for you. So I am looking for Rhonda Calvin. I don't know what your name may be on YouTube, but Rhonda Calvin, Geronimo Caesar, I believe that is your name on there, because that's all I have is I am, and Stacy Holder. There's another, I see a ST in the middle. I don't know what that's for, but Stacy ST Holder. So you 4, Rhonda Calvin, Geronimo Caesar, I am, and Stacy Holder. Please report to the principal's office. No, I'm just kidding. But please send in, please email me. Go in the link, definitely email me. Send me your address. I want to get these calendars out to you, and the name that you would have personalized on it. And I believe that will be it for all of the personalized calendars. 1, 2, 3. Yes, so we have all the personalized calendars. These were the top first 9 people, I would say, that have ordered their calendars. So that's that news with that. I want to make sure I got all of you in. Everyone else who has ordered, sit tight. They're all coming to you. Again, my apologies for the late mail out. Right, as I have been out of town and get everything in order. And those of you who have waited very long are getting an extra surprise. You're getting an extra order for you, thanking you for your patience. All right, so that is with that. Anything else, please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment if you dare, if you've already made it this far. And I'm gonna jump back in where I was sticking a pin with the surveillance energy. So let's get right back into that. Yeah, thank you. So let's get right back into what we have been. See if I could find my place mark. I said stick a pin, but I think I lost the pin. But it doesn't matter, because I know the topic. Spirit will bring me right back to where I need to be. So this is in regards to those of us who are seeing, thank you, Spirit, the work that needs to be done. Being in the Garden of Gethsemane, a lot of challenges that are coming in are to sharpen us, right? And it's not because you didn't do it. I believe that's what I was saying. It's not because you didn't do it right the first time. It's because you did it well at that level, and now it's time to remove some more at another level. You know how they say, you know, God don't give you more than you can bear. So you could bear what you could at that time, and now because you've done well and you're doing more soul work, it's bringing that up to you to say, here, you can handle this now. I need you to work with this now. And it's to help clear the resistance out of you, right? So you may find that in these times, some more stuff is coming up to remove that resistance, because we need as much flowing light energy, light energy and information to be flowing through us. So we got to be very, very careful And be careful who you are aligning with, right? This is where I need to speak on the demonic energies, the parasitic energies that are around us, that are lurking, that are looking for your loosh. So as 10:10 on the clock, as you, that's new beginnings, because the 10 and the 10 is the 1 and the 1, new beginnings. So be mindful that in your new beginnings, that your new beginnings has new beginnings. And we must be mindful of the energies that want to hitch a ride, right? And want to distract and disturb what you're doing, and want you to believe that you're doing something wrong, and want to surveillance and tap into your energy. So when I say surveillance spirits, I want us to really pay attention, because we may think that it's evil, right? It's only evil. And monitoring spirits and surveillance spirits do not come in the package of evil as we may think. It comes in those very spiritual packages, those very calm. And this was a lesson I learned, and like, I wouldn't just say I learned it, but I experienced it specifically this weekend. They may be very calm people that are going with the flow, and so it's very hard to detect these spirits and energy. And this is why you got to really sharpen your third eye and be mindful of how you see them just being quiet around you. Lean in a little bit and notice if their energy is really inclined onto you versus they're just sitting there quietly and peeking in, into your spirit, into your light, into your soul, right? And so these are what I call agents as well. These are the agents. They can jump into anybody, just like on the Matrix when he was on the train, and this one became an agent, that one became, anybody could be an agent. And as I've said before, you are susceptible to being an agent if you have unhealed wounds. Wherever there's unhealed wounds, you are a part of the database, the demonic database, the parasitic energy, the opposition. It has access to you, whether you are aware of it or not. You could be a Christian, you could be a Muslim, you could be a high spiritual person. You're as strong as your weakest link. So wherever that weak fence is, the database has tabs on that, and you are an available, susceptible host, able to be used to be an agent at any moment. So you could be good 1 minute, and then the next minute you can be an agent, right? So it's not about being evil. And I say that so that we understand that, because some people just think, oh, okay, so it's evil. It's not just evil. It is an evil thing to do, but it does not, when I say it's not just evil, it's not sitting in evil places. It doesn't look like how you think it looks with evil looking people, or they're not doing evil things. These are people that are doing righteous things. They are covered in fig leaves. And that's another word I got for today. Fig leaf. Fig leaves, for those who don't know, metaphysically, they represent like righteousness and truth. And that's why when Jesus found one of the disciples and he knew that he was one, he said, oh, I found him under the fig leaf, under the fig tree, because that meant that he was of righteousness and a follower of righteousness. He stood under the principles of the righteousness and the truths, which is what that tree represents. Adam and Eve covered with fig leaves, which means they covered their nakedness, the things that needed to be looked at, right? There, when they were in their raw, naked form, then they wanted to cover. And it was when they realized their raw, naked form, right? A lot of us don't realize our raw, naked form. And we're in like la la land about it. And then when it becomes aware to us, oh, I realize that I'm raw and naked. And it's not about being physically naked. It's about recognizing what you have done, and that's raw and naked. And so when you get into that raw and naked spot, are you going to cover with fig leaves? And this is what some people do, and this is what makes them wonderful surveillance people, wonderful monitoring people, because those are the best kinds to use, because no one suspects them, because they're spiritual, because they're conscious, because they're woke, whatever it is you want to call it, and because they're doing all these good things. But you got to look at the energy behind what they're doing. And sometimes the energy and the consistency of that energy, meaning when they say they're about something, but yet they do something else, right? And it may not be harmful. It may be like, oh, they just changed their mind. No, look at the energies. Look at why they changed their mind, right? And it can be something like, and I've witnessed this with someone, they could be appealing to you about something. Oh, I'm interested in this. I'm so interested. And they come to you and say they're so interested. And then when you bring it to them, they have no interest. When you bring it to them, evidence shows that they have no true interest because they're just not interested. The actions will show. If their actions, if they don't have a behavior that matches that interest that they say they are about, then it is incoherent energy. And therefore they are liars unto themselves, and therefore they are liars unto you. Not that anybody owes you anything. It's not about that, but it's about watching the energy. Look at how they move. You can talk about it, but you can't be about it. So if your being and your doing does not match your speaking, what you're saying, then that is cause for pause. Don't ever just cast anything as, oh, that's just them. Yeah, that is them. And everybody has free choice and free will. But what is that doing? What is that saying? Right? Their surveillance. What is that saying about them? And what have they been doing while they were around you? And they may not mean no harm. A lot of times they're not conscious that they're agents. Those people on the bus, when Neo was walking through, they didn't know they was agents. They didn't know they was becoming agents. They didn't know that their body was going to be used as being an agent, right? And some people are bonding agents, and we got to look at that too, because they're bonding. There's a lot of that happening right now. So pay attention to who you see bonding and how are they bonding, because they got something in common. You got to look at that, what they got in common. Who brings who in? When people call you, how they calling you and who they calling you through, on the strength of what energy, and notice that person's energy. How are they linking through you and to you? And then you know how to keep them at bay, right? And we gotta be really wise about that. We got to move in our wisdom. And they may be offended. They may take it some type of way, but it's nothing personal. You are only going to be as strong as your weakest link. So you can do all the great things in the world, but there's some things in you that you have not worked on, people. And if you have not worked on that, then that is going to be your weakest link. And that is the way that the enemy is going to use you, whether you are aware of it or not. Most of the times they use you when you're not aware of it, because they don't want you to be aware. They want you to appeal to the people that they're trying to intercept. They want you to appear as authentic as possible to those people, right? And these monitoring spirits, these surveilling spirits, surveillances, they can only keep it up to a certain degree, right? I think Pac said it best. I forgot exactly how he said it, but he was like, people can only pretend but for so long. At some point, they're going to slip. At some point, their little mask is going to fall off. Something is going to melt. You are going to see something. The question is, are you going to ignore it because you feel like, oh, but they were so nice. They were smiling and they were this. And are you going to ignore that because you're a people pleaser, or because you feel like everyone should be deserving of a chance and you want to give them grace? Like I always say, it's not my job to give anybody grace. That's the divine. And by the divine, you are always afforded grace. So it's not my job to give it to you. So I'm not going to take myself and say, I need to give grace for you. No, I need to stand under principalities of truth, and I need to pay attention to your energy. I don't care how nice you look. I don't care how nice you smile. Energy says everything. And we have to look at the energy without our biased opinions, without our preferences, without our personal preferences. That's why personal attachments has to be out of the way. It's not personal, whether good or bad. Even if you see that they're monitoring and surveilling spirits, it's not nothing personal. They got their own work to do, and it's for us to understand that's the level that they're at. but you also need to have your boundaries and not mix with them in a certain way, because they don't know themselves. What they know of themselves is just that, right? And that's the frequencies that they are attuned to, right? And no shot, no shade, no nothing personal, but it is what it is. And those of us who are walking in our unfolding, who are doing our soul work, shadow work, all of that, we have to be accountable, responsible, able to respond, able to account, right? We have to be mindful, full in our mind, and in full awareness of our mind activity, which is our soul's activity and everything that's going around, right? And not be judgmental and call people evil. They're not evil, they just don't know themselves. And so are they susceptible to evil usage? Yeah, they're susceptible. Database can use them and they won't even know it, and they'll do it with a smile and think that they're doing good things and great things. And this is why what they say, man's heart is bent on evil. Who can know it? Who can know it? Cleanse thyself from evil thoughts and feelings. Who can know it? You got to be willing to know yourself. So if you're not digging in real deep, if you think you're all just cherries and beautiful and cream, and you're not digging up something and finding you're ugly, you know, it's dangerous sometimes when people think that they're just all great and they have no wrongdoings in them. No, I need to be around real people who know they got some faults, and they got some faults to work through. I never claim to be perfect. And a lot of people would say that, oh, I'm not saying I'm perfect. Yeah, but if you have no faults, if you think you're doing everything great and you don't look inside yourself and see where you're inclined to some things, and because of this weakness, the parasitic energy is going to use you, you're going to be a viable host. You're susceptible to that. And as I say that, I spoke on being a viable host versus being a hostile environment. I'm a hostile environment for demonic energy and parasitic energy, because I'm constantly digging and checking into my soul and chin checking those demons. So they can't sit there long. I'm a hostile environment to them. That parasitic energy cannot rest here, right? And I say this to say this. Those of you who do dark work, dark light work, where you're getting rid of old spirits, things like that, demonic energies, things like that, you have to make sure you're cleaning yourself. You have to make sure that you're really cleansing yourself, and not just regular cleaning, cleansing yourself in the mind. You got to make sure that you're going in and literally ripping out things out of your mind. Looking for, what do I mean by that? Look for connections. Look for spaces within you where, let's say you cleaned out someone's demon, you better know what you're cleaning out. And then know that because you know that demon, you have to know within you, because you know that unhealed, when I say demon, I mean unhealed wounds. Because you know that unhealed wound, you have to know where you have an unhealed wound that may likely be a bonding agent with that demon, because it will leave from them and attach itself to you through what you already have, and you won't even notice it. So when you know yourself, you cleanse yourself of that. Make sure you go in your soul and double check that susceptibility of that being susceptible to that other person's demon, because you shared a similar thing. It may not look exactly the same, but there's a theme that is very familiar, and it will. That's like when he said you cast out however many demons and it fly back into you. You will cast that out and it will come back and connect to you, because you didn't clean out in here. You didn't double check and make sure. Nope, I'm not allowing that unhealed wound to dance with my unhealed wound, or to trigger it. And even if it does, you got to be aware of it, so that if it does trigger your unhealed wound, then you got work to do. You got to quickly quicken yourself and transcend that unhealed wound rapidly, expeditiously, to keep your vessel clear and clean, right? And so a lot of people are not aware of these things. We can't just be out here willy-nilly exercising, the demons. Again, no shot, no shade. I appreciate those who do that work. But Spirit was showing me that this is something we got to look into and be careful of while we're moving and taking these things out, because these bonding agents, they are not playing. There are agents out there that are bonded, and it's happening big time right now with all this that's happening. There, the desperate energies that are doing desperate things are kicking up even more, and they're looking desperately to bond with others, to even team up against you, to bond with other people. This may be happening at your work. It may be happening in your families, in your circle of friends, where you'll notice, like, wait a minute, how come all of a sudden they teaming up? Because the desperate energies are getting in such a way with the frequencies kicking up that they are desperately finding people that have something in common with them. Whatever that bonding agent is, they're bonding on the strength of that unhealed wound, and neither of them may know it, because they might not have told each other wordly. They might not have said, I've been through this, I've been through that, but it's in the information field. And the information field knows, oh, we got this in common. We got this wound we got in common. It may show up differently, but it's the same wound. Meaning, for example, let's say it's abandonment and rejection. They may both suffer abandonment and rejection, but in different ways, right? One may have been rejected by a mother. One may have been rejected by a father. One may have been suffering rejection because they keep getting rejected in their job. Either way, there's rejection and there's abandonment, and they share that. They're bonding on that and teaming up against you, right? And for some, it may just be bonding agents with you. They want to bond with your sores. So you got to know where you got some sores or some unhealed wound or some open cuts, whatever you want to call it, and deal with it, right? Another part that I want to address is those bonding agents within you. Sorry, not bonding agents, surveillance. You may have surveillance spirits within you. It's not just coming from the outside, because wherever you have those unhealed wounds within you, the database taps into that and it infiltrates your higher self. So sometimes this is how you self-sabotage even in your soul, because you're doing your soul work and your higher self is, doing what it can, but then you allow, because it's all in your own mind, but because of a wound that you haven't addressed, that wound is the open hole that allows that surveillance spirit to come in, that monitoring spirit, that other aspect of you, that demonic, because if it's unhealed, it's a demonic aspect. So that demonic aspect of you is peeping in, prying in, infiltrating your soul, that is usurping your higher self. And then so when your higher self gives instructions, it usurps that, and somehow it gets perverted and I mean twisted, and it comes out in a way that you're wondering what the heck just happened, right? It's self-sabotage within the soul. So we have to be very careful. When I'm saying this, it's not just outside of ourselves. We have to be looking within ourselves. And let me say this, the better you work with understanding how it shows up in you, the more sharp you will be and recognize it when it shows up in other people, because you know how susceptible you are. So you like, oh, okay, boom, I peeped that. It's that same thing as it takes one to know one, right? One will recognize another. When you recognize it in yourself, when you recognize it in yourself, then you will recognize it in another. And quickly, you'll be able to look at it and say, oh no, that's a surveillance spirit, or that's a monitoring spirit. And it needs surveillance because that database is really wanting to know what your next move is. The light bodies that are doing what we're doing, they want to know. And so even me within myself, I have to use wisdom. And some things I don't know how to explain this to y'all to make it work, but it's like even within your consciousness, you may know something, but I don't. If it's susceptible to being caught by that other energy, I won't say it. I won't say it out loud, and I won't really entertain it in my mind in a way where it gives it some space. It gives it a way for it to be privy to it. You got to know how. It's like you got to know how to have sacredness, a sacred space within your own soul. I was going to say secrecy, but I don't like that word, because secrecy is like breeding grounds for demonic energy, people who like to keep a lot of secrets. But there has to be a sacred space in your mind where you're not letting this other part of you become aware of it. That means don't overthink it. Don't keep ruminating it. Don't keep running it through your mind, because then you're giving it to that other side of you. And the same way it may be in your, even in your love life, if you're close to somebody and they may be asking certain questions, and you may think that you're helping them, but you have to have a real strong wisdom and a certain level of intuitiveness that says, no, it's not wise to speak on this. So I may be getting something, but I can't say it to them. I may just say, I'm getting a message about this, but I'm not to speak on it, because they within themselves don't know that the damage that they may cause because of them allowing a surveillance spirit through them, because of, and you have to know that you could be helping loved ones, but if you know they haven't reached a certain level and they haven't cleared a certain wound, do not make them privy to everything that you know in the spiritual realm, because then you're giving them a sneak peek in, and they don't need to know that information. They're only going to usurp it. They're not going to utilize it for the right light and in the right way. We have to move with wisdom. And I'm saying this to you because I've had to work it and share it for myself, right? 3113 on the clock, 3113. Palindrome, right? Mirrored reflection. So allow these reflections of truth to be with you, be well with you. Don't say I didn't warn you. Go pay attention to these surveillance spirits and be mindful of your own. Don't just look out there. I'm saying what I'm saying on multiple levels, right? Practice catching your own so you can quicken yourself. You could be like, quick draw McGraw. Boom. I got you. I see you. Right? So with that, I'm going to leave it right there, because I have made it loud and clear. Go on and do your work and get your work in. Right? Be a hostile environment for these opposition energies. Do not be a viable host. And don't play with those who are viable hosts. Love them, but release them to their now. Let them be, and be very careful of what you say in terms of sharing light work, light information, and anything of the such, right? So, with that said, remember, reminder before I go out, those of you who have sent in your money for the calendars, I need your address and the name that you would like to have personalized on your calendar. And that is Rhonda Calvin, Geronimo Caesar, I Am, and Stacy Holder. Please send in your information. And again, remember to like, subscribe, share, comment if you dare. If you don't know what to say, leave some beautiful emojis so that we can get the algorithms to keep going. Please keep commenting. I am returning to the state of returning my comments to you. So thank you for waiting. And last reminder, 5D calendars are still here and available. So get your calendar at a 5D corner near you. You can get it in the description below or in a previous video, maybe the one titled 5D calendar. It will obviously be in there. And with that said, I love you all. Each one, reach one, teach one. If you don't know where to start, starting a big, beautiful heart. Shine your light from the inside out and be the candle that lights the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Peace, love, and light.